last week's meeting from 6:30 and not likely to get to item 5C, which I think some people might be here for, and I mentioned last week, likely not to get much on the agenda much before 7:30 because we have the rest of last week's agenda to complete. So, this meeting being called to order, if we may, everybody's received a copy of the agenda. The approval of the agenda circulated to be appropriate. So moved. Seconder? Councillor Donovan? Any questions? Any additions?
I'm just wondering, do we need to amend the agenda to add the approval of the agenda on it? Because it's not actually on the agenda. Usually I think it's a separate line.
Technically?
Okay, so we'll make that...
Number 2 should be approval of the agenda.
Yes. It's not there, is it not? However, that's typically it, so...
So moved.
Approve the agenda as amended? Whatever. Okay. Ready for the question?
Question.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Item with respect to the approval of the minutes of December 17, having been circulated.
What's that?
Thank you. Councillor Donovan, Secretary, Deputy Mayor Mangle. Any questions?
Yeah, there's a typo on page 3 of 6 under D, Neighborhood Opportunities for Wolfville. It says the Chief Administrative Officer advised that this item is not ready for motion at this point and provided and update. Should be and.
Come on.
I have 2 more on different pages, just fast typing fingers. On page 2, signing of documents, and down below, under reserves policy, request for decision. There's a little typo. And on page 4 of 6, under correspondence received.
Anything else? Ready for question?
Question.
Question being called. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. The minutes of January 8.
So moved.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Mangle. Seconder. Councillor Bryan. Thank you. Any questions, errors, omissions, concerns?
Question.
Hearing none, question. Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Question, contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. And everybody have an opportunity to get the minutes of get through last week's minutes. Motion to approve as circulated would be appropriate. Thank you. Councillor Donovan. Second. Deputy Mayor Mangle, thank you. Concern or questions, errors, omissions? Yes, Councillor Bryan.
I do. I know we live in an odd world right now where we're half metric and half imperial, kind of stuck in the middle. But under 2A, which is on page 1 of 7, the new building would have 500 square meters of commercial, and everything else is imperial. Anyone have any thoughts that maybe we should do a translation under 500 square meters of?
That's how the presentation was made, so that's how the minutes are reflecting it.
All right.
Potentially in the future we could correct it at the presentation stage, and then the minutes would reflect it.
All right.
Anything else?
No. Question.
Question being called. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Okay, so reports. Couple of things, I guess, if I may report on upcoming. Antigonish with respect to what kind of leans into our now committee, the Neighborhood Opportunities Committee, and some of the municipal, the alcohol harms efforts that have been ongoing. So the Chief Administrative Officer and I are going to go up Friday for a follow-up, and it's an all-day conference involving Guysborough, Antigonish, Strait area, municipal units, or their health authority, sorry. We have some workshop there all day. Following up on that, we want to get a little bit more information with respect to the communities that have been involved. We are one of those, and we'll hopefully have something to bring back at the council meeting following that to see sort of what information we do believe we gather from that. So that's coming up Friday, an all-day workshop. And on Saturday, just as a bit of a heads up for those who may have an interest, there's an interesting program on in Acadia on Saturday the 2nd with respect to the robot competition and so on. It's junior high and high school robots down in the gym and in Acadia. And anyway, it's very interesting. It's really quite intrigued. So that's going to be ongoing Saturday. So anybody has an interest to take that in, just a bit of it, take that under advisement. It's a very interesting show. Yeah. That's really about all I have at this stage. Ms. Mumrick?
I have two updates for council I wanted to share. The first is with respect to the REN, the Regional Enterprise Network. We're, as you know, part of REN 3, which essentially is West Hants down to the end of Annapolis County. And we've been working, the CAO, from all those municipal units, there's 11 of us in total. We've been working on trying to put together a program as what that REN might look like and how it might be funded and what it might do and some things like that, so that we can bring it back for presentation to the council and ultimately approval for the establishment of that new organization. The good news is that we're ahead of all of our other counterparts. In Kings County, we had decided back in early summer that we were going to wind down the Regional Development Authority, the RDA, by March 31st. So we had already started that process, as had our neighbors to the east and west. And so the three of us are all in the same position with regard to shutting down the previous organization and then establishing the new one. And so we've been focusing really on three kind of key elements that we think we need to get agreement amongst the 11 municipal units before we can then move forward with a detailed intermunicipal agreement and establishing an organization. So we've been calling these the pillars of the REN discussion, so the Regional Enterprise Network. And they are the roles and responsibilities or the tiers of economic development. So that speaks to just determining that we're all in agreement of, you know, what's the national, so the federal, provincial role in economic development, what's the REN's role going to be, and what's the municipal role? Because it's important to understand that everybody's on the same page, what those different organizations do, because we don't want if some units believe the REN is going to do things that other units believe the municipal unit does, then that could lead to conflict later on. We want to make sure that we all understand up front where we're going. The second piece is around the funding of it. And so you may remember when the provincial report came out back in November, it was the way that the model works is the provincial government will match 50-50 funding with the municipal units. And so in our area, we have a maximum provincial funding of about $393,000. So that means between the 11 units, we need to raise $393,000. And so we've been spending a lot of time talking about how we do that, whether it's on uniform assessment or population or all kinds of different metrics. So we're working on that formula. And then the final thing is the governance structure. So again, in the report that was done for the provincial government, it was recommended that there be potentially a two-tier structure where one layer would look at reviewing and monitoring the organization, and then the next layer would be more involved in the day-to-day operations, and which ones includes political representatives and which one include industry representatives and just some of those kinds of details. So we've been working on mapping all that out to be able to, as I said, present back to council as kind of a report that includes all these main elements. And then we think once we get those figured out, a lot of the other things are detail, because it does then come to coming together to develop a strategic plan, and you know that will roll out what the REN is actually there to do. So that was the first update, and then the second update is with respect to the Town of Wolfville website. So we had in our plan for this year to revamp our website. We conducted an RFP process, and we have selected a provider for that. So we're going to work with Trampoline, who's the company that did our branding work, and they submitted a joint proposal with a local software development company called Calibri Software that has, some of you may have heard, has sort of spun out of the computer science department at Acadia. So headed by a prof, his name is John Greedy, and so John employs a lot of computer science students, and they write software to do a bunch of development there. So they submitted a joint proposal to us, and we received 5 proposals in all. And theirs was the one that we ended up, it met most of our criteria, the most of our criteria that we had established. And so we've awarded the project to them. We're having our kickoff meeting on Thursday morning. So that's pretty exciting to get working on that, because it definitely needs some improvement. So